Be recorded. There we go. And it's going to be rebroadcast on the Waltham Land Trust YouTube channel. Tonight's forum is co-sponsored by the Waltham Land Trust, the Waltham Fields Community Farm, Mothers Out Front Waltham, Waltham Energy and Climate Action Now, or WECAN, and the Massachusetts Sierra Club. Some of the candidates participating in the forum may be involved with one or more sponsoring organizations. A candidate's participation in the forum or involvement with any sponsoring organization is not an endorsement. The sponsoring organizations, many of which are 501c3 nonprofits, are not endorsing candidates for Waltham City Council. This is the third and final of a series of forums this coalition is hosting for the first time this year. And you can see the previously recorded forums for the contested and uncontested wards at the Waltham Land Trust's YouTube channel. Just search for Waltham Land Trust on YouTube and you'll find it. All candidates were provided an equal opportunity to participate in the forum related to the office that they're running for, and care was taken to distribute information to all candidates equally. Tonight's event will be shorter than anticipated. We had initially scheduled this forum for October 5th, but had it rescheduled due to some late cancellations. And we moved the event to tonight to encourage some more participation. For those candidates who were not able to make it tonight, we have asked them to provide responses in an alternate format, which we can distribute in the videos that we'll put on YouTube. And we will have a short night tonight because we do have two candidates joining us. We do have Representative Thomas Stanley and Colleen Bradley-MacArthur. So everyone will probably get to the Sox game in time tonight. So to begin, each candidate will be given 30 seconds to introduce themselves, after which we'll move to a series of questions. Candidates will receive an equal opportunity to respond to each question. When a candidate's time has expired, they will receive a 10-second grace period to finish their thought, after which we'll move to the next question. At the end of the questions, each candidate will have a minute and a half for a closing statement. While the sponsoring organizations have strived to select questions that cover a range of topics, we recognize that many of you may have additional questions after tonight's forum. We will provide the candidates' contact information at the end and hope that you will reach out to the candidates directly. And with that, again, welcome to the forum. Thank you for coming. And we'll begin with some opening statements. And we will begin with Representative Stanley.
Just a minute. Okay, all right, we're all set. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom Stanley, State Representative and City Councillor at Large in Waltham. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to participate in this forum. Thank you, everyone, for all the work that you put into making this happen. I have been involved in the protection of Waltham's natural resources and protecting our environment for 20 years at both the state and local level. I have worked with every local group in Waltham and organization to protect public land. We have made some progress, but today we face even more serious issues that will require our concerted efforts and strong action to meet these challenges. And I look forward to doing that with all of you.
Great. Thank you, Representative Stanley. Next opening statement will be from Colleen Bradley-MacArthur.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much to the volunteers and all of the groups that put this event on tonight. I can't imagine the amount of planning and coordination that went into this very important event. I'm Colleen Bradley-MacArthur. I'm a mom, a Waltham small business owner, and a parent advocate. Over the past 13 years, I've lived in Waltham. I've been deeply involved in this community. My work includes fighting for clean air and water with Mothers Out Front, preserving and maintaining open space in Waltham as a Hardy Pond steward. I'm also a proud alumna of Emerson College, and I own my own social media marketing company.
Okay. And Colleen, your time is up.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Councillor at Large Randy Leblanc. It is a pleasure to serve the community that I work and live in. Thank you for this opportunity, and to all of the members of this forum for all you do and strive to make Waltham a more sustainable city. We have multiple acres of open space, and we need to continue to make them better. I will always continue to be accessible to all residents. I will continue to work on such events as the 135th anniversary parade to build community and pride for all, and it will increase a sense of home. My wife Tiffany and I are raising our 3 children here, Ava, Nina, and Oscar, because it is a great and diverse community to live in. And I hope to see you around town. Thank you very much, Randy Leblanc.
And we'll start with question 1, and we'll just be alternating between candidates here tonight. So question 1 here. One of the most important environmental topics is climate change and ensuring the next generation has a sustainable future. As city councillor, you'll have an opportunity to help our city act to prevent or mitigate the negative impacts of climate change. What specifically do you hope to achieve during your time as city councillor to address this issue? And we'll start with Colleen, please.
Thank you so much, Dan. A first step would be to engage with our newly hired principal planner here in Waltham, Frank Nakashian. Where he was previously the sustainability coordinator for the town of Ashland, I'm sure he has experience with not only managing our municipal building energy upgrade projects, but what I would like to see happen, the development of a citywide climate plan with measurable goals. Because he's in the city's planning department, he'll be able to work with Catherine and James to fulfill the mission of that department. Having someone such as Frank working with Catherine and James, we should be able to maximize grants as a green community. Waltham is a part of the Green Communities program, and currently we are just doing the bare minimum. I would like to see us move past just energy efficiencies, which, don't get me wrong, are great, but I'd like to see us apply for more block grants, do more advanced climate mitigation strategies, such as more city electric vehicles and solar-ready buildings. It's time to collaborate closely with our building departments on ways that we can encourage developers to use more sustainable building practices and materials. The city of Medford, a city similar in size and overall makeup to Waltham, just released their 2021 Climate Action and Adaptation Plan. They've been doing this work for 20 years. They were actually one of the first communities to publish a climate action plan back in 2001. These efforts were guided by a woman named Alicia Hunt, who recently visited Waltham a few years ago to tell us about her planning and sustainability initiatives. We need to be infusing climate resiliency and sustainability efforts in all of our planning and economic development work. These environmental initiatives will help bolster business development and community efforts, making Waltham a sustainable and thriving city along the Charles.
All right, thank you very much. Representative Stanley.
Okay. Climate change presents the greatest challenge to the future of Waltham. Local leaders must mobilize our community to action. I want to build community support for climate and resiliency plans by raising awareness of climate change risk, partner with community groups to desire effective climate strategies and public engagement programs. I support investing in resilient infrastructure and nature-based solutions. We must invest in maintaining and building infrastructure that can withstand the more extreme weather and flood risks, curb carbon pollution, and provide economic and other benefits to residents. Update building and infrastructure codes and standards and expand natural areas and green infrastructure to reduce flood and extreme weather risks and create a healthy and sustainable community. I support open space retention and tree planting initiatives that can prevent flooding, filter rainwater, cool the air, improve our quality, and provide stress relief. At the neighborhood scale, living greenery absorbs carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and it also has a cooling effect, reducing urban heat islands and thus reducing electricity needs for summertime air conditioning. Green roofs, street trees, pocket parks, and urban gardens are among the measures that we can employ as a community to help reduce the greenhouse gas emissions. Our city should be leading by example by deploying energy conservation strategies that lower pollution and energy bills and improve public health. Our municipal buildings, vehicles, and equipment should be made energy efficient, all of them. Our goal should be to adopt inclusive and equitable policies and incentives to achieve 100% zero carbon energy and to create more local jobs. Waltham can use municipal bonds, private partnerships, and other strategies to finance efficiency, extreme weather, and climate change preparedness.
I think we're all well aware of the effects of climate change. As a parent of 3 children, I would love to see them enjoy the outdoors and the earth as we have had. I think we've all seen the heavy rains this summer. Locally, we need to try to help reduce the effects of climate and flooding. We need to keep our waterways, culverts, and dams cleaned and maintained. As a city councillor, I will work with the city engineer to continue to work on long-term solutions for flooding. Some of the other things we can do to help mitigate climate change on the council is to try to increase bike traffic by continuing to implement bike racks around the city. Also, one of the biggest things we can do is help get the rail trail kicked off and jump-started, and hopefully construction will flow smooth. The other option we have is on special permits to increase charging stations for electric vehicles. Also on municipal buildings, the city council does control. The net result will be reduced emissions. We also have a need to increase parking at our train station so that we can ensure the increase in public transportation. Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you to you both. And actually, you can stay on screen for Q2 because you'll be up next. Transparency in city government helps keep the community informed and sets proper expectations in terms of how city operations proceed. For example, how grant money is used, how committees discuss issues and make decisions, and how ordinances get implemented. In your tenure as city councillor, what will you do to help ensure transparency in Waltham's government?
Well, in Waltham, the mayor and the city's legal counsel are responsible for decisions on how ordinances are implemented. The city council's role is considering and approving new ordinances. We live in a time when information about current issues can be made available to the public in many ways. The internet in particular has opened many options for sharing information, observing meetings in real time, and communicating messages and materials. I was impressed with the fact that during the COVID crisis, people were homebound but not disconnected. Citizens zoomed and streamed and stayed involved. I believe transparency in local government can benefit from maintaining and expanding those opportunities for citizens to attend council, city department, and community meetings online or in person. Major issues, I think, will be helpful and instructive to conduct public information forums in the same manner. The city is stronger when more people are engaged in civil dialogue and informed about what is going on. And it's even more important now with the steady decline in newspaper coverage. There's a lack of accountability for local public officials that can be addressed through the use of technology and the internet. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mrs. Bradley-MacArthur, you're up.
Thank you for the question. I think one of the largest tools that we have at our disposal for transparency within city government is our city website. We really need to redesign the website to make sure all of the information about the city and its operations are easily accessible and digitally searchable. I think something like the planning department specifically could have and does at a minimum have some information, but I think a more creative and engaging user interface to really show people what the city is doing, how we are spending the grant money that we receive from the green communities, and when those initiatives are coming up to be renewed, we have a way on our city website to communicate with the city, people in the city, to see where we're at in terms of our goals. This sort of goes back to what I was talking about with a plan. If we had some kind of plan and we had milestones and measurable goals, the website would be the perfect place to communicate all of this information and give other residents an opportunity to become involved. I also think we need to ensure all our meetings, and specifically committee meetings, are recorded. The technology is available to closed caption these meetings. We also have the opportunity to translate materials and pages within our website. Thank you.
Transparency in local government is essential to ensure honesty and integrity for our constituents. As projects and expenditures are moving forward in local government, sometimes it's important to invite in department heads to go over long-term plans and goals, so everyone will be aware of the short-term steps that are required to get to the long-term results. For example, we've been having some flooding issues in our city, and we received a state grant to maintain, or essentially clean out, our culverts, our wetlands, and our waterways. There is also some long-term engineering and planning that goes along with this. So having in department heads to lay out the steps and procedures for our constituents is essential, and also to do it in a public forum where the city council could potentially be voting for funds. And in the future, the entire city will know what the plan is. In short, doing some of our work in a public forum is essential, so everyone is informed of what's going on and how the constituents will be impacted now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And you'll be first for Q3, which is a follow-up to Q2. As a follow-up to the previous question, how will you ensure that ordinances like the plastic bag ban move forward in a transparent manner?
Thank you. So I think, again, to what I said earlier about making committee meetings recorded, I think that's one idea that really needs to happen. We also need to, as elected officials, keep the community engaged on the progress and keep the community, because I know specifically the plastic bag ban, there were a number of community groups advising and working with city councilors, and we all need to be kept in the know in terms of where these ordinances are within the process. So within the committee discussions, when they're going to be talked about again. And I think we just need to keep doing that. We need to do that in a format maybe such as quarterly meetings, so that the public can understand these are all of the things that a city councilor is working on. And this is when these items are going to be presented and in committees, and then keep them apprised of where the status of these ordinances are within the committees. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stanley, same question for you.
Okay, so with regards to the plastic bag ordinance, this is what happens at the state and the local level. At a certain point, there's a lot of work that gets done, and on the administrative side, on the administration, and a lot of that work is done just during the regular 9 to 5, and you're not on camera, and so on and so forth. So it can get a little lost on what progress the city has been making, and this is where the local officials, state officials, we can get stretched thin on a lot. We get pulled and tugged in every direction on different issues. And this is where, working with local advocates, like everyone involved with sponsoring this event, is critical to, proceed with their issues, but also for us to be able to do our job. And I, in particular, rely on working with advocates and advocacy groups in order to accomplish a lot of the goals that we're trying to accomplish, whether it's environmental issues at the state level or the city. And the plastic bag. Okay.
I'll have to interrupt you. Sorry, we had a timer issue there, so I'll have to interrupt you.
That's all right.
As a follow-up to the plastic bag ordinance, it is important that we, the City Council, remain diligent, even when we get busy in committees, that things don't sit idle in different departments as we are waiting for some answers to keep our ordinances more up to date. Sometimes ordinance changes are time-consuming as they follow the governmental procedures. The city has hired another attorney in the law department, so things should flow in a more timely manner. Thank you.
For Q4, we are going to start with Ms. Bradley-MacArthur. Ms. Bradley-MacArthur. Q4 is environmental issues affect some residents more than others based on their social and economic circumstances. What are your plans for increasing equity in access to open space and reducing barriers to all residents being able to realize the benefits of the natural resources throughout Waltham, especially those whose voices don't normally get heard? And 2 minutes.
Thank you so much for the question. As I've been working on these types of issues within the city with Mothers Out Front and the Waltham Land Trust, it has become very clear to me within the last year that there is a disparity, and in terms of spaces being open, inclusive, and accessible to everyone in our community. I think one thing that would really go a long way is developing these materials in multiple languages so that everyone knows what open space and farms and land are available for the public to use. We also need to continue and perhaps enhance the practice of providing trolley rides, bus rides from downtown Waltham to locations such as the Waltham Community Fields. I just love when the Waltham Community Fields also brings their produce into the community with their mobile market. I think this is just another way that we can provide a window into what's happening in our city. It's also great to see groups such as Healthy Waltham spotlighting distinct and cultural foods. I think we could hold more workshops and work with various community groups and cultural groups within the city to learn about their agricultural and sustainable practices, bringing those different community groups into the fold. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stanley, same question.
Okay. Prioritizing infrastructure investments in communities facing the greatest needs, looking for opportunities and identify areas throughout the city that need the most attention. I grew up in the south side of Waltham, and I understand fully, the lack of open space and how that is a detriment to the people living in that part of the city. And, often I grew up playing down at Moody Street Playground all the time. And we didn't know any better as kids. We would often go off and play in the adjacent Moody Street abandoned dump. And obviously that wasn't an environmentally smart thing to do. And I believe that area, the dump, could be transformed into a healthy green space park and recreation site that would elevate the neighborhood and enhance the environment. It'll be a great, gateway to the island section of Waltham and all the benefits that we can enjoy down there. The city's environmental, the perfect thing to do is to have a city environmental resiliency master plan and calendar, and be expanded to delineate and prioritize open space and pocket parks, tree planting, community gardening projects scheduled citywide. Public comment and participation should be encouraged as much as possible. And public and private partnerships should also be solicited to underwrite some special projects. Thank you.
Environmental issues affect some residents more than others. So with equity and access to green spaces in mind, one major project we need to continue to push is to work on the rail trail, which will allow for an immense improvement on transportation infrastructure. And it will also increase bike and foot traffic to allow access to all of our residents for our green spaces.
Thank you. On to Q5, we'll start with Ms. Bradley-MacArthur. Ms. Bradley-MacArthur, sorry, I'm having trouble there. Q5 is the city is in the process of purchasing the Waltham Field Station on Beaver Street. What is your vision for the future of this building and property?
Yes, thank you for the question. My vision would be a long-term lease for the working farm that is Waltham Community Fields. Make no mistake, it is a working farm. If you have visited there, they had their field day last weekend. We were pulling carrots from the ground. We were riding on the bicycle harvester. Their programs enrich and feed the children and families here in Waltham. I've heard from many people as I've been out campaigning that this space is a treasure and they want to preserve it at all costs for years to come. I think as a working farm, they should not be burdened with having to reapply or renew a lease in just a couple of years. We should follow the model of other area urban farms and give them the long lease that they deserve. They've proven their programs are successful and that they are in the fabric of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stanley, same question for you.
Thank you. Thank you. I received the honor of being recognized by the Waltham Land Trust for leadership, forward thinking, and dedication throughout the complicated process of obtaining the Waltham Field Station farmland. Together with Rep. Lon and Senator Mike Barrett, I filed legislation which was passed and enacted into law, preserving the open space for generations to come and allowing it to be transferred to the city of Waltham. Prior to the Baker administration's move to sell the Waltham Field Station, as the legislative leader in the House, I testified before the Joint Committee on Environment, Natural Resources, and Agriculture in support of a proposed UMass Urban Sustainability Center to be located at the Waltham Field Station. And a lot of advocacy groups were on board with the effort. Through a private public partnership, the center would have been committed to the long-term responsibility for the environment. The center was intended to house partners that included industries, businesses, municipalities, government agencies, and citizen groups who would collectively be involved with and address priorities related to food security and access, environmental stewardship, education, urban agriculture, and workforce development in urban settings. I would like to pursue this concept moving forward. I had already reached out earlier in this year or prior to the pandemic, I'm not sure, to the executive director down at the community farms. And, you know, it will take a big effort, and it will take getting all the community advocacy groups involved, the mayor, the city council, so forth, and local businesses. And I'm ready to get my hands dirty and do as much work as possible to make that happen. It will be a long-term project. And
Thank you. Sorry, we had to cut you off there.
This question is in regards to the Waltham Fields Community Farm. As a direct abutter, it would be unethical for me to discuss future options. But in full disclosure, I am a CSA shareholder for 10 years, and I also maintain 2 garden plots in the community garden. I also attend most of the farm events, including Field Day. Even as petrifying as it was, I even helped Councillor Harris process honey from the beehives.
For question 6, we'll actually start with Representative Stanley here. Sorry, skip the question. Waltham has recently faced some challenging questions about the use of city-owned land, for example, at Jericho Hill. Do you consider conservation of Waltham's natural resources to be a co-equal priority for our city alongside other important issues like education and public safety? What steps will you take as a city councillor to ensure that Waltham's existing open space is permanently protected? In 2 minutes.
Thank you. Conservation of Waltham's natural resources has always been a top priority for me for many reasons. Local leaders must act to ensure that these resources are protected when weighed against other unavoidable city needs, like building schools, for example. When the city was building the new high school, the state required additional land for parking to avoid going over a brook. To compensate for those 7 acres, another 7 acres was identified and designated as permanently protected from any development, and that's important. We do that at the state level as well. That compromise was necessary. Whenever city-owned open space is taken, there should be a comparable parcel of land designated permanently protected. As a rule, preserving, creating, and protecting open space must always be given serious consideration in any project or development. It is critical to sustaining Waltham's health and well-being, especially in light of the climate changes that we face. With regards to that, the new school location, I only became supportive of building a high school there when I became convinced that the land was planned to be developed by local developers, and that was not a good plan for the community, for the environment. I was outspoken in protecting the Payne Estate land, the former Coleman Stanton land, and not infringing on that area to build a new high school. And throughout my time as an elected official, whether it was the Fernald, it was Lot 1, I passed legislation to protect that. UMass Field Station, I could go on and on. Working with partners like the Land Trust and others, we've been able to, and local officials and the mayor, we've been able to, really protect the resources. Thank you.
Ms. Bradley-MacArthur, same question for you.
Thank you. I think somewhat the answer is in the question when you mention natural resources being a co-equal priority alongside important issues such as education and public safety. These two are inextricably linked in my mind, especially with the land at Jericho Hill. The land, especially Jericho Hill, will provide an educational resource right next to the high school. It will also provide walking paths and areas that will keep children from walking on the streets where there are really no sidewalks. I recently had an opportunity to walk into the Jericho Hill property. I live right near it, and I did not realize what a gem of a property this is in the city. And I think that if we are going to have to look at land, as Rep. Stanley had mentioned, and be taking away land for projects like that, I think we should have comparable land offered if it can't be avoided. But I really want to do everything I can to make sure that these properties are permanently protected. Growing up in Beverly, I watched as large parcels of land after large parcels of land were developed into housing. And it broke my heart to see so much land taken away for housing developments. And this city has so many jewels of open space for the public to use. And I think we do really need to seriously look if there are questions about using city-owned land, such as what happened with Jericho Hill. Thank you.
This is an excellent question. The quick answer is to utilize some of the question in the answer. I absolutely do consider conservation of Waltham's natural resources to be a co-equal priority alongside education and public safety. I support and utilize all the open space in the city, and I would like to see it remain that way. Being a two-time Boston marathoner, I've done extensive training on the Western Greenway and in Prospect Hill for hill runs. I also enjoy gardening in the community garden. I love the time away from life's noises and traffic to be in peaceful green space. I've advocated for the city to purchase the land known as Zero Prospect Hill for years. I know they are evaluating their options, and purchasing it is still one of them. I also want to see all the land purchased for open space to be permanently deed restricted as open space.
Thank you. Thank you to you both for answering our questions this evening. We'll have a minute and a half each for you for closing statements, and we'll start with Ms. Bradley-MacArthur.
I just want to say thank you again for everyone who worked to put this event on. These are the people that are doing what we refer to as the work. These are the people who don't get the spotlight and don't get the visibility, but they're doing the work. They're informing our city officials for the needs to protect open space, to care about our environment, to prevent more gas leaks in the city, for example, to go green with community electricity. These are the people doing the work. And I want to be a voice for these people that are behind the scenes doing the work that don't get the spotlight. Gone are the days of burying our heads in the sand about climate change. Gone are the days of budget excuses. I have reviewed the budgets for the past few years. Make no mistake, we are a well-resourced city, and the decisions we make on how to fund things are a reflection of what we value in our community and how we deal with the climate crisis that is already here. We have federal money coming into the city for COVID relief. There's millions of dollars to be used for water and sewer mitigation, things that could help us prevent the flooding that happened on Felton Street this summer. It's not an excuse that it's a pandemic and we can't find the money. That just simply doesn't hold up. We need a mindset shift. We need to modernize our city, leverage revenue drivers from climate initiatives and grants to mitigate the effects of climate change on our city. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Stanley, your closing statement.
Thank you. Once again, I'd like to thank everyone involved in giving Colleen and I and the other candidates the opportunity to speak to these important issues. I know it's a lot of work, and I appreciate your time. I've talked a lot during this forum about different public lands that I've fought to protect, including the Arrigo Farm. So I won't go back into that. We face, many environmental challenges ahead as climate change is accelerating. And as Colleen had mentioned, we have a wonderful opportunity with federal ARPA money to address a lot of these environmental infrastructure issues. It's important to have someone with experience at the state and local government in getting things done, and the educational background, having graduated at Bentley University and also getting a master's degree in public administration from Suffolk University. My role at the State House, I've been able to be a great assistance to all of the advocacy groups that are sponsoring this event, and I want to continue to do that, to work with all of you. So with that said, I would greatly appreciate, one of your 6 votes for Councillor at Large on Election Day, November 2nd, or this Saturday and Sunday at early voting from 9 to 2 at the former Bright School, the Malone Archives and Records Center, 260 Grove Street. I'd ask that you don't, I know sometimes people want to bullet for their one candidate. I ask that you like, whether it's 2, 3, or 1, what have you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Councillor Randy Leblanc. My grandparents were Canadian immigrants and factory workers at the Waltham Watch Factory. My parents, Oscar and Barbara, raised us to be kind and hardworking. And that is how my wife Tiffany and I raise our 3 children, Ava and Nina, who are twins that are 15 years old, and Oscar, that is 9 years old. I have a big love for Waltham's diversity, open space, and giving residents. And I would like to thank Mothers Out Front, WECAN, Waltham Fields Community Farm, the Waltham Land Trust, and the Sierra Club for hosting this forum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Representative Stanley. And thank you to you both for coming tonight and sharing your views and participating in this first Green Possibilities Forum. Representative Stanley, Ms. Bradley-MacArthur, really thank you from the bottom of our hearts for participating. And thank you for everyone watching us tonight on tonight's forum. All of the recordings of each Green Possibilities Forum will be posted to the Waltham Land Trust YouTube channel. So just go to YouTube and search for Waltham Land Trust. The other two are already there, and we'll get this one up shortly, along with any of the responses that were submitted to us for inclusion. Finally, IRS regulations restrict the sponsoring organizations from asking certain questions. If you have certain specific questions for a candidate regarding their positions on Waltham's green future, we'll post their contact information here before signing off, as I just did. And we encourage you to reach out to them directly, reach out to all the candidates and learn about their views. For election information, including how to find your polling place, early voting options, or to request a mail-in ballot, go to the City of Waltham website, city.waltham.mass.us/elections. And as Representative Stanley said, early voting starts this weekend. So go to the former Bright School over at 290 Grove Street and vote early this weekend. If not, then please vote on November 2nd. Thank you to everyone for joining us, and have yourselves a great night.